All right, guys. So it seems like we have some new information regarding the God of War remakes, and we talked a little bit about them a few days ago, and we were talking about cut content and the sex mini games and a few other things. And the response was a little divided, a little bit for, a little bit against, and stuff like that. But today, yesterday, some interesting news kind of leaked accidentally, where Christopher Judge was at a fan expo, and this other YouTuber, I think named Fuzzy Puzzy, was doing a live stream. That's a wild name. Was doing a live stream, and apparently, she was recording, and the recording overheard Christopher Judge giving out some potential information, leaking some stuff about God of War. And honestly, it's not like he was leaking it on purpose. He was just answering a question about somebody asking him a question. And I think the question was, are you going to be in the new God of War remakes? And he said, no, that's going to be TC Carson. They're going to have some new technology, new combat system. And he says a few other things. Now, the new combat system is the main thing that you want to really take from this. And, honestly, that is a big, scary thing. He said something about new combat system and some new content. So what does the new content mean? The God of War games honestly seem pretty perfect to me. Maybe do you expand a little bit on some areas? Do you expand on some lore in God of War 1? Do you expand on some fighting sequences in God of War 2? What does it mean? And I think now I'm understanding a little bit more some of you guys about the Tomb Raider stuff, where you're saying the remakes are good and the remakes aren't going to be good or stuff because they might switch some stuff around. But now I'm getting this real feeling of what you guys might have meant with God of War, because I'm such a huge God of War fan. I love God of War. It's one of my top favorite franchises of all time, and I love Kratos. And revisiting the story not that long ago and playing through every single iteration, every single game, I connected even more with Kratos. I felt more his rage and his anger in the beginning, and then how he kind of changed a little bit towards the newer games. But the new combat system, are they going to try to do something like over the shoulder? Are they going to try to do a combat system similar or exactly the same as the new God of War games? And if they do that, that's going to be like a completely new game. That's going to be completely different. It's going to change the dynamic of the story. It's going to change the dynamic of all the boss fights. It's just going to be very different. I mean, the original games had a different type of camera. They had the hack and slash, fighting style, where it was maybe more button smash, square, square, triangle, triangle, circle to grab, jump in the air, and then slam them down. It had a really fun fighting style in video games that you don't see too much of anymore. A lot of the AAA games and stuff like that have gone more to the cinematic style, over the shoulder combat, and just make it more intense, more realistic. And for some, that's good and fun, and for others, that's very boring and just it lacks art for some, right? But I think the original three games, the ones that are going to get remade, God of War 1, 2, and 3, they need to maintain really the same real combat system. I mean, if we look at God of War 1 and 2, you could say, okay, the combat maybe needs some refinement, maybe it needs some upgrading, but then look at God of War 3. God of War 3 was so ahead of its time. God of War 3 was one of the best looking games of all time, in my opinion, when it first came out. It might have been the best looking game. I mean, it was fantastic looking. And then now you got God of War 3, the remastered version, and you can play it on the PS4, and it looks so fucking good. I mean, it looks incredible, and the combat feels so smooth. Everything about God of War 3 feels great. So honestly, if you're remaking the games and you want to have like a fresh feel combat, then why not just grab the combat from Modern Warfare? Oh my lord. Why don't you just grab the combat from God of War 3 and implement that in the remakes for God of War 1 and 2, and then all the games can kind of feel like God of War 3 and the art style and stuff like that. I don't know, right? But when you say in a new combat style or a new combat system, that's very, very scary, because I don't want over the shoulder for the original God of War games. I think I do love the over the shoulder. I love the feeling of God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. I love how it feels so different and intense and powerful, but I think it fits the narrative and it fits the story for the Norse Saga games. But the Greek Saga games deserve the hack and slash, the more bloody, more gore, more savagery, the more it allows Kratos to be more loose. It allows Kratos to be more free and angry, and you feel it in the button smashing that you do. So I think that's a very big thing to keep a close eye on, because if they are changing the combat system to something unrecognizable, that is going to bring this remake down for me tremendously. And this news is unverified. This news is maybe word of mouth. But here's the thing, right? Christopher Judge is an actor, and he is behind playing Kratos. He's one of the actors that has portrayed Kratos. After all this controversy happened on X, he came out with this message. He said, "Let me be crystal clear. I have zero involvement with the original games and what they involve. Full stop. As much as I would love that everything everything I do in the future would involve God of War. I have other projects that I am super excited about. More info this summer. Now, he didn't say what I said wasn't true, but he also tried to distance himself from it, right? He tried to say, basically, don't believe what I'm saying, like just completely forget about it. I'm not even working on the game, so I don't know what they're doing. And some people might say, okay, then he didn't know. He doesn't know. But he's Christopher Judge. He plays fucking Kratos. If he goes to Cory Barlog, or if he goes into Santa Monica or whoever, and he says, hey, what are you guys doing anything new? They're gonna fucking tell him. And he's gonna, like, he might, we're actually doing a new combat system, just in conversation. Why? Because why wouldn't they tell him, right? So it's not like he has some insider information. He's just Kratos. He's one of the actors that plays Kratos. So in a passing conversation with somebody long time ago, or a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, who knows, they might have said to him, oh yeah, we're doing the remakes, man, and TC's coming back, and we're doing a new combat system. Just like normal conversation that could have fucking happened. And so I will believe what he's saying. And if he said that a new technology is going to be used, of course they're going to remake the games. So maybe that's what that means. Simple. But then he said the new combat system. What the fuck does that mean? That's crazy. So new combat system is wild, and then new content. The new content is also something else that I don't know. Like we talked a little bit about it here in the beginning. Was what are they gonna add? What do we do? Like I don't know, man. Like maybe stuff that was cut from the original 3 games that never made it into the full game that we played. Do they bring some of those things back? Is that what they mean by new content? Like when you make a remake or something like that, as big as this remake is probably gonna be, you might want to add a few little things like never before seen combat sequences, or including cut content, or including yada yada yada. You want to include that type of stuff. So maybe that's also what it means. Very simple. Maybe it shows you some concept art. Maybe it comes with a little art book or something. I don't know, right? Things like that. So is it something to worry about? I don't know. I wouldn't start panicking, but I would say that mentioning new combat system is a little scary. You got to think a little bit about it. And yeah, I wanted to bring that to you guys. What do you think? I really have high hopes for this remake. I really, really do. I've been wanting a God of War remake for years. Like I've been wanting to be able to go back and play at the highest fidelity on PS5, God of War 1 and 2. Specifically, I've been wanting that heavily. Obviously getting 3 in there and kind of having them all look very similar. And I want to see that. I just hope that they don't really tone it down. I really hope that they don't try to make Kratos fit into the Norse saga, because I think Kratos fits into the Norse saga perfectly. There's a canon book by Dark Horse where it talks about immediately what happens after he supposedly dies and how he ends up in Egypt, and then he continues his journey. And through that story, I read it, I covered it on our 7-hour God of War story. It talks about how Kratos, was kind of losing his mind and what led to him landing in Norse. And it doesn't need more. Right? It doesn't need more. Everything that you want is already available to you in his story. And it's a very good comic that, just explains that missing piece of what happened between Greek and Norse.